Hey, agents. Today we're talking about how's the market, everybody's favorite subject. And Jack and I were recently at, this is Jack. Jack is on our team. Danielle's out of town this weekend. And so Jack is filling in and helping out and lending his expertise to our little program here. And we were just at an event where Russ Lagan spoke and really spoke a lot about the market and how we communicate what the market is to our clients. And I think there's a lot going on that seems depressing. It seems like, maybe it's not really a good time to buy. I saw a Yahoo article the other day about how 85% of Americans think it's not a good time to buy a house. And a lot of those people are renting. A lot of those people are in situations where they're paying $30,000 a year to live someplace that they don't own. So really, is it really not a good time to buy just because interest rates are a little higher, just because it's a little more expensive? What do you think, Jack? Whoop, we lost him. Looked like he was having a little internet trouble. So I'll just chat till he comes back. We do market reports, which we're happy to share with agents as well. I'm gonna give you our link. If any agents are interested in signing up for our email market reports, you can do it at this link. I don't know if there's a way to let us know that you're an agent. Maybe shoot us an email and let us know you're an agent. Don't sign up for our email because that costs us money. But we're happy to share our market reports with you. And if you want to take them, make your own or share ours and say, this is what somebody else has to think about it. Whatever you want to do with them, that's up to you. We don't care. We're happy if we can get the real information out to as many agents as possible. So Jack, I was just saying that, there's a lot of messaging coming across that it's a bad time to buy a house. What do you think?
Yeah, sorry about a little technical difficulty there, but bad time to buy a house. What does it really mean? Is it a great time to rent? Is it a great time to stay in a house that's too small for your family? Is it a great time to stay in a house that's too big for you when really you should be downsizing? So, really, I think the most important thing is that you have to really concentrate on the individual and the family, and there's a lot of people that I think hold off making a major, important, and correct life decision because of whatever is being talked about in the media. You don't invest in your 401k based on emotion. You trust that you're going to do the right thing and pay into it, and it'll work out in the end because it's the right thing to do for you in the future. But for some reason, when it comes to buying a home, which is a lot more impactful on your day-to-day life, on an every day of your life basis, people are going to hold off on making a really important decision that's right for them, based on financial news and headlines. So
we as agents need to be the person who guides them there. We need to be the person who say it's okay if you move into the right house for your life right now, and the worst thing happens and the value goes down over the next couple of years. Because you're going to be living in the right place. It's okay if you trade your lower interest rate for a higher interest rate because it means that you wake up every day in the place you ought to be, versus something that doesn't fit your life. Now, we don't want anyone, buying something they can't afford. We don't, no. This is not the time to speculate. This is not the time to take on a lot of risk. Absolutely. But the right home for you and or your family is not risky as long as you're comfortable in the payment.
Well, and by the way, I mean, even if you want to be a by the numbers type of person, you go, how would it possibly make sense for me to move from a 3 or a 4 into a 6, 7, or 8? Great thing to work with your lenders on is looking at their total debt, because we have credit cards at an all-time high, and last time I checked, those rates, even when the mortgages were at 3%, were at 20, and now they're at like 25, 30%. If you got, $10,000, $20,000 in credit card debt that you could pay off with equity, you might be able to offset a surprising amount in, going up in purchase price when you look at your actual monthly bill.
And our lender said the average car payment is, what did he say? $800. $800 a month. So $800 a month, they can pay that off, goes a long way in a mortgage. So if you have a lender who is, really understands these things and can help counsel your clients, send them to him or her and get that conversation going. Because there's a lot of people who are in this situation right now, and it can make a lot of sense to get rid of that high interest rate debt. He called it an effective interest rate, right?
Yeah. Or net.
Put it all together.
Yeah.
So great thing to do for your clients, and keep them looking at the reality of what the alternative is. So the question isn't, as Jack said, is it a bad time to buy a house? The question is, what are your choices?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think, this is the time when you really have to pay attention to people and listen and hear what people are actually telling you.
Yeah.
And, people are buying a house, even when everything looks great, is scary. I mean, if you bought 5 years ago, you'd be scared that your house was going to plummet because of, it's never going to be you're never going to separate the emotion from buying a home. And, I think when people are in a period of time where, media wants to get very negative, really listening to what people need and being there as a resource is helpful, and not just spitting numbers at them.
And we always say, don't fall into the prediction game. Don't get yourself sued because you told somebody that their value is going to go up. But I'm going to pull up a chart real quick that that shows, okay, I'm not guaranteeing your house is going to go up, but this is what houses have done over the past 60 years. So that's just history.
Right. Yeah. Well, and, I think everybody also, and being that I'm pretty close to have purchasing my first home, if you think back on that decision, you had to go through all that emotional stuff on your own end too, and I think really this is a time for really good empathy and talking to your clients and say, hey, I'm not, selling you what the future is going to be and trying to predict everything, but it was like that for me too, and trying to make sure they understand that.
Yeah, and we don't want to
feel that way.
We don't want to lie to people. We don't want to. I know a lot of agents, a lot of coaches kind of advocate. They don't call it lying, but it's lying. You don't need to be it's always a great time to buy a house, but you can show them why it might be for them. And if it's not, then they don't buy a house right now. But for most people, in most people's situations, if they're thinking about buying a house, it's probably a good time to buy a house. That doesn't mean it's always going to be the cheapest time to buy a house. Doesn't mean that they're going to have the most choices in buying a house. But buying a house almost always beats the alternative. So if they're thinking about upsizing or downsizing or buying a first house, chances are it's going to be a good long-term play for them. So thanks so much. And thank you, Jack,
thank you for having me,
helping me out. And we'll see you all next week. Keeping the real in real estate.